They say time forgets nothing. But what if time itself keeps secrets? It began long before our time, in a world now lost to dust and silence. The story you're about to hear was almost erased from history. But some secrets refuse to stay buried. This is TimeVault.
It began not with excavations, and not even with history. It began with silence. Silence beneath the sands of Giza, where the desert breathes antiquity. The desert holds secrets, but not forever.
Whispers beneath the sands. For thousands of years, the shifting sands of the Giza Plateau reliably guarded secrets far more significant than mere stone and the dust of time. They concealed the existence of something that perhaps should never have been discovered. Knowledge capable of shaking our very understanding of the past. This silent guardian of sand and time protected the legacy left by a civilization whose name has long been erased from the annals of history. When the first archaeologists of the 19th and 20th centuries began their tentative excavations at the foot of the Great Pyramid, their findings seemed to confirm established theories. They discovered narrow corridors perfectly hewn from the rock, which, however, ended in blank walls. Official reports of the time were laconic. These were either unfinished construction projects or ritual passages whose purpose had been lost. That, at best, was the convenient and scientifically safe version. The hatches and openings found on the Sphinx's body and head were also considered either crown mounts or small empty chambers of no interest. But beneath this surface, it is officially stated, whispers have always lurked. Rumors of secret passages, of an underground city, of a legacy hidden deep beneath the rocky plateau. These whispers took on real form when technology allowed us to peer deeper than picks and shovels. The turning point came at the end of the 20th century. Although the above facts mention the 1997 French expedition, it is worth noting that other findings were also reached during this astonishing period. For example, in 1989, Japanese scientists from Waseda University, using scanning equipment, discovered a tunnel leading to an entrance under the Sphinx's left paw. Following this, in the early 1990s, American geophysicist Thomas DeBakey conducted a seismological scan, which revealed that this passage led to sealed chambers. It was in this atmosphere of discoveries and speculation that, according to data, in 1997, a French expedition discovered that creature from Rose to Exit, a sealed entrance skillfully hidden under the paw of the Great Sphinx. This entrance was not just another dead-end corridor. It led vertically downwards, deep, according to all known maps and diagrams, into the unknown darkness beneath the plateau. And here the story ends. The project was abruptly closed without explanation. Egyptian authorities banned further research in the area. All data, reports, photographs, and measurements obtained by the expedition disappeared from public view, as if they had never existed. All that remained were rumors and scraps of information leaked to the press, fueling theories. Official science remained silent, but the question, like an echo in an empty well, lingered. What truly caused such promising research to be abandoned? What crucial secret was the Egyptian government hiding from the world? This sudden revelation only strengthened suspicions. Something lurked beneath the pyramids that could forever change our understanding of ancient history. And the main question remained unanswered. What truly lurked beneath the Sphinx's eternal gaze? Echo of the Builders. The official version, taught in schools and broadcast on television, is simple and straightforward. The pyramids are monumental tombs. They were built by thousands of slaves to ensure the eternal resting place of their dead pharaohs. This picture is logical. It fits into our understanding of ancient civilizations with their cult of death and the deification of rulers. But step beyond the tourist trail, penetrate the stone giant, and this harmonious theory begins to crumble like a sand dune in a gust of wind. Inside, one is met with a deafening emptiness. There are no lush frescoes, no hieroglyphic texts recounting the deeds of the great king. The walls are bare and silent. Neither the bodies of the pharaohs, nor even fragments of the ritual sarcophagi that were supposed to accompany them to the afterlife, have been found in these supposed tombs. This emptiness is the first and foremost question that begs the question of all aspects of the tombs. Why build the most opulent structure on the planet, moving millions of stone blocks, if ultimately nothing remains inside that was commissioned for its intended purpose? In place of the funerary paraphernalia, they constructed something else, perfect geometry. The chambers and corridors of the Great Pyramid are carved from a monolith with an inexplicable, almost laser-cut core, where tolerances are measured in fractions of a millimeter. This craftsmanship is not the crude labor of thousands of slaves. It is the work of highly skilled craftsmen, masters of an incomprehensible skill. A true miracle, these chambers opened when a human voice was heard within. If you place a statue precisely in the center of the so-called King's Chamber and pronounce this word, it does not fade or generate the usual echo. The sound begins to vibrate, condense, and transform, turning into a smooth, low, almost tangible hum. Modern instruments measure the frequency of this resonance, 432 Hz. For the most part, this number is meaningless, but for historians and researchers of ancient cultures, it holds the key to an incredible mystery. This exact same fundamental frequency is found in the design and acoustics of ancient temples and sacred sites across the planet, from megalithic structures in Greece and Peru to the most ancient temple complexes in India. This striking coincidence raises questions. Is it a coincidence? Or are we on the threshold of discovering a forgotten science of sound, of vibration based on matter? Some researchers are putting forward hypotheses that overturn our entire understanding of the pyramids. They believe that these chambers are not tombs, but complex technical instruments, a kind of resonator. These stone machines could have been used to store and transmit energy, to preserve information, or even to transmit knowledge on a different, non-verbal level. Perhaps sound was merely a key activating far more complex processes. And the hum, the birth in the heart of the pyramid, is not just an acoustic effect, but an echo of the builder's own voices, a reminder of a science that has long been lost. Map of the stars. If the pyramid's perfect geometry is conceived by imagination, then its connection to the cosmos casts doubt on official history. Each face of the Great Pyramid is a superb compass pointing to a cardinal direction. The precision of this orientation is phenomenal. The deviation does not measure a fraction of a degree, which challenges even modern construction technologies. This is not simply a structure on the ground, a pointer calibrated across the entire planet. But the true scale of the design is revealed when we look not at the ground, but in the sky. The narrow shafts piercing the stone mass are not ventilation systems, as previously thought. They are astronomical instruments oriented toward eternity. The southern shafts point to the constellations of Orion and Sirius, and the northern ones to the star Thuban, which in ancient times was the North Star. This is not just an observation, but an entire map of the sky, frozen in stone and pointing to the key to ancient cosmic beliefs. This is where a paradox arises that shatters all academic theories. Astronomers' calculations show that such a precise star formation in the sky, corresponding to the shaft pyramids, was observed only in one period, around 10,500 BC. This time, distinct from the first pharaohs, was many millennia ago. Egyptian civilization is not as simple as we know it. Who then was the author of this grandiose project, if history is silent about the civilizations of that era? One theory, the most cautious one, which has been put forward since the time of the pharaohs, simply copied an incredibly ancient plan inherited by them, a blueprint created by someone long before them. Another hypothesis, far bolder, speaks of the civilization's legacy, the destruction of a global cataclysm, the very same great flood mentioned in myths throughout the world. Perhaps the survivors attempted to preserve their knowledge for future generations, encoding it in the language of stars and stones. And finally, this clearly indicates what the builders were doing. Ancient texts mention shining teachers who came from the stars after a great catastrophe to impart knowledge to humanity. The pyramids, monuments to this event, are they not a message whose creators wanted us to look to the stars of Orion and Sirius and ask ourselves, who are we and where do we come from? The pyramids are not simply a tomb, but a message encoded in the language of the stars. Beneath the Sphinx. If the pyramids guard their secrets within their stone walls, then the Great Sphinx,
A silent guardian protects them right beneath its paws. In the early 1990s, as technology continued to peer underground without disturbing the ancient stones, a group of geologists conducted a seismic survey at the foot of the monument. The results exceeded even the wildest expectations and forever changed our understanding of the structure of the entire Giza complex. The instruments revealed the presence of a small, perfectly rectangular void, a man-made chamber located deep beneath the front paws of the stone giant. This discovery should have been a sensation, the beginning of a new chapter in Egyptology. Instead, it created a wall of silence. A scientific report on the work done exists. It is documented, but it was immediately classified. Access to the research results was strictly prohibited to independent experts. Local authorities responsible for preservation refused to comment, as if there was nothing but sand and rock beneath the Sphinx. This official demeanor only fueled suspicions. The discovered chamber was not just an empty room, but something capable of upending conventional wisdom about history.
The mystery, however, didn't remain completely sealed for long. Soon, scattered data and a few blurry photographs, presumably taken during preliminary surveys, leaked online. They showed a narrow, almost claustrophobic tunnel descending steeply into impenetrable darkness, the very passage that possibly led to the discovered cavity. Almost a quarter of a century later, in 2017, a new, more advanced scanning platform not only completed the previous expeditions, but also revealed something even more monumental. It turned out that the hidden chamber beneath the Sphinx was not an isolated object. It is part of a long, extensive network of passages that extends beneath the entire Giza plateau, like a subterranean mirror of a dead city, connecting all three great pyramids. But the most inexplicable discovery awaited examination by one of the most conservative viewpoints of this system. There, instruments recorded powerful, periodically repeating bursts of electromagnetic energy. Their source and nature remain a mystery. Is this a natural phenomenon unknown to science, linked to the geological features of the plateau? Or is it a residual echo, a faint, ancient impulse of a long-forgotten and incomprehensible technology that still exists in the shifting sands?
The Forgotten Library. Legends are memories that refuse to die, and one of the most ancient legends from the Giza Plateau speaks not of gold or curses, but of knowledge. In legends, this place is called the Hall of Records, a kind of mythical library where the gods hid all the wisdom of their era, saving it from the great flood that wiped their civilization from the face of the earth. The very idea seems fantastic, a product of the ancients' imaginations, trying to explain the grandeur of the structures they saw before them. But what if these gods didn't descend from the heavens, but were fleeing the flood? What if they weren't omnipotent creators, but the last heirs of a lost world? People possessing technologies and an understanding of the universe that we have yet to discover. If we accept this idea, their actions take on a frightening logic. They didn't build tombs, they created a time capsule,
an eternal archive. They didn't store their knowledge on fragile papyri. They sealed it in the earth itself, beneath the sands, patiently awaiting those who might one day understand it. In the 20th century, the ancient texts take on a completely different tone. They contain lines that embody the core principle. Thoth, the keeper of wisdom, sealed his secrets in the West, and one day, when the time is right, man will discover them again. In Egyptian tradition, the West is the land of the dead, the realm of sunset, the place where the sun sets below the horizon. The Giza Plateau, the world's graceful necropolis, fits this description perfectly. This is that very West. The Hall of Records, then, is more than just a repository of facts. It is a legacy left with a purpose, a warning of the cyclical nature of catastrophe, a key to understanding the solar physics that allows them to erect these monuments, and perhaps the answer to the ultimate question, who are we and where do we come from? The legend ceases to be a fairy tale and becomes an instruction manual, a map left by the survivors. And the final question these texts pose no longer sounds like a myth, but like a direct warning. What will happen to us when we gain this knowledge? Will we be ready for it? Or, by opening the door to the past, are we merely repeating the mistakes that once led to a global catastrophe? The Hall of Records awaits. And perhaps it is not a gift, but rather a interesting challenge. Modern silence. It turns out that the 21st century, with its technology, has dispelled the last romantic myths. We have learned to peer into deep space and into the depths of the atom, but the Great Pyramid once again challenges us, proving that the greatest secrets are still hidden here on Earth, beneath thick rocks and sand. Today's researchers, armed not with Kirks but with cutting-edge modern instruments, confirm that we know far more. Using a technology more reminiscent of science fiction, muon tomography, scientists have been able to literally see through the pyramid. This method uses cosmic particles, muons, to map the object's density without moving a single solid stone. And the results of this solution stun the world. In the very heart of the ancient monument, above the Grand Gallery, a colossal, previously unknown cavity was discovered, a void the size of a modern passenger jet, carefully concealed within the monolithic thickness. This discovery should have been a sensation, the beginning of a new era in Egypt. Instead, it has unleashed a wave of renewed silence. What lies inside this gigantic chamber? Jewels? Scrolls? An unknown technological device? We don't know. And it seems we won't find out anytime soon. No one knows what's inside because no one is allowed entry. Official Egyptian sources are reluctant to grant permission for drilling or the use of miniature probes. The reaction of officials and scientific institutions has been strikingly restrained. Press statements are sparse and vague. Archives of the latest research in terms of economic sustainability for the population and access to the pyramid itself for independent groups is strictly limited. A legitimate question arises: why? What are those who control access to one of the wonders of the world afraid of? Are they afraid of damaging the monument or something that might be found within? Perhaps this discovery could shatter established notions of history, and someone decided humanity wasn't ready for such a truth. And so the Great Pyramid continues its millennia-long vigil. It guards its secrets not only by the strength of its walls, but also by the veil of modern silence that envelops it as tightly as the desert sands once did. It stands, as before, a keeper of mystery, awaiting the right moment to speak. And we, standing at its foot, can only guess what incredible secret lies just above our heads, locked in eternal time.
Historians call pyramids tombs, but perhaps they are not monuments to the dead, but gateways. Gates to an era humanity was never meant to remember.
It was just one story, hidden inside the vault of time.